Hey proxies, welcome. If it's your first time here, don't worry, mine too. Today we're diving into Zenless Zone Zero with a challenge that sounds simple on paper, but might be completely insane in practice. So grab some snacks, sit back, and enjoy the chaos. Now before we start, let's talk how a normal person would clear Shiyu. A main DPS, a stunner, and a support, or something on those lines. But today's challenge throws that entire philosophy out the window. No hypercarry, no big damage dealer, no support. Just pure impact, daze, and emotional damage to me. I mean, if the enemy never gets to move, do I technically need a DPS agent? Probably. But join me in today's quest on the path of the perpetual stun. Our objective: clear Shiyu defense using only stunners. Rules of the run: Rule 1, only stunners. Self-explanatory. If their main role isn't stunning, they're banned. Rule number 2, no changing characters or gear mid-run. Once we start, everything is set in stone. Rule 3, every character must have a unique build, no duplicate engines and no duplicate disc loadouts. Rule 4, all stages must be cleared. If we're doing it, we're doing all of it. Alright, stages 1 and 2, well, if I'm being honest with you, just filler. Like, I don't even think the enemies got to finish their animations before they were just vanquished. This part really gave me false confidence. I was like, oh, this challenge is going to be light work. This is manageable. Spoiler alert, it wasn't. But in the end, we got the S ranks for these two, so no big deal. Stage 3 is where my damage took a nosedive. I was not expecting the fall off to hit that fast. Up until now, we were cruising pretty comfortably, but not here. The HP pools were massive. The fight stopped feeling like sprints and more like a marathon, fighting the clock more than fighting the enemy. But we pushed on. The first half of stage 3 throws in the doppelganger furry trio of Morris, Poker, and Bell. Now here's the good news. They were weak to fire and physical, which is actually works in this team's favor. But once I wasn't fighting elemental resistance. So up first we have Poker. She plays more methodically. She sets the tempo instead of rushing you, waiting for you to come to her. During combat, she performs attacks that mimics those of its target and maintains distance, waiting for the right moment to use attacks, blade guns, and traps to disrupt the target. When her health drops below a certain point, she'll do her best Ultra Instinct Goku impression and enhance her ability to dodge, causing all of your attacks to just whiff. But you can't just brainlessly keep up the onslaught. She will punish you for being over aggressive. But I will say, out of the trio, she does respect us enough to take us on in a 1v1, so we can just focus on giving that pussy a good pound and take her down. Bellum, on the other hand, is the disruptor. He isn't much of a threat at distance, but he makes up for it at close range, using his blade gun, shield, and a flamethrower to pressure us and attack us with. While guarding with a shield, he responds with a powerful counter strike, which I'm pretty sure I've never seen him do before, but like I didn't even know it was a thing. When his health drops at below a certain point, his attacks intensify, becoming even more vicious and relentless. And then on the other hand, we have Morris, the skirmisher of the trio. He likes to swap close quarters and long-range combat. Depending on the situation, we'll choose between close-range combos or long-range shoot. When his health drops below a certain point, or after a set period of time, they will use follow-up long-range attacks or ambush us with line spot shots after quickly repositioning, which means if you're not careful, he will interrupt your rotations. These two complement each other. Bellum will pursue you to the end while Moors will sit back and damage you from afar. I had focused Moors, or I at least tried to, but the freaking lock-on system was fighting me. Bellum will come to us regardless of the situation. This was the best way to deal with both of them, and hopefully try to save a bit of time. Then we have the second half of stage 3. Up first, an armored hottie. An armored hottie is built to stall, it has high durability and a strong presence. During combat, an armored hottie's armor significantly reduces its damage and days taken, but a defensive assist will greatly reduce his armor. And when your damage is already questionable at best, tanky enemies are the last thing you want. After we take that down, up next is the Goblin and Thanatos. The Goblin is all talk and no substance. His roll will boost his damage dealt while significantly reduces damage taken. Again, something I didn't know. However, these effects are interrupted if stunned. The Thanatos is more threatening of the two, and not just because it does more damage, but mostly because this fucker can't stay still. It's teleporting all over the goddamn place. This is an enemy that makes you respect his personal space. The Thanatos blinks around to attack from tricky angles, but his days build up when using a defensive assist, and follow-up is also very high, which is music to my ears with a team like this. Now, these two work similarly to Bellum and Moors. Just focus on the Thanatos and the Goblin will rush you, and you can get damage on both. My first attempt, this didn't plan out so well. I'm pretty sure you can guess why. But the second attempt, we secured the A rank. Stage 4 is where the run really starts testing our consistency. By this point, the damage drop off from earlier has only gotten worse, and the HP pools are slating more and more by the second. Our stuns matter more than ever, and these fights are long enough to where as a small mistakes can stack up rapidly. The first half of stage 4 throws in a rampant brute. This enemy is exactly what the name suggests. High pressure, high aggression, and very little personal space. The rampant brute thrives on momentum, charging up his armor with electricity to release high-level attacks. During this time, he enters the shock state where his charging is interrupted, instantly inflicted with disorder, if any other type of attribute anomaly is inflicted. Or at least that's what I would say. But looking back on this run, oh man, this boy got his shit right. Straight belt to ass, bro didn't even get a chance to move or attack really. Because as soon as his stun window was over, wasn't long until he was stunned again. I'ma just let the gameplay speak for itself on this one. move on to the second half, a notorious armor hottie. And if a regular armor hottie is durable, then this version is that times 2. This fight, honestly, there's not much for me to say about it. Everything I said about a regular armor hottie can apply to this one. Only difference being that this one fires more powerful ether bullets than normal when it roars. At least that's what the enemy details say, but I couldn't tell you because once again, we put belt to ass. The boss couldn't do much. Like, we might not be killing them quick by any definition, but look at this, it's just getting stun locked. Now, quick pause. Before we get into the second half of the video, I'm not just a VTuber, I'm also an artist, and I wanted to showcase my art on the channel. So I made this illustration inspired by this run. It's just some artwork of Trigger, my favorite out of the stunners. Well, that was until a certain angel took stage. But if you like seeing art mixed into gameplay, let me know. This is something I want to keep doing, and as I do more videos, I'll find better way to incorporate these art of the sitting segments. Now, back to the video. Stage 5 is why I made the executive decision just to use the same team for all 3 bosses. The main reason is the lighter team just performs better in both damage and synergy. Room 1 opens with the Covenant Guardian. During the battle, it will use its wings to launch follow-up attacks. When successfully deploying a defensive assist against some of its skills, you can interrupt his attacks, which sounds easy, but the issue occurs when the attacks would come too fast and I would end up doing an evasive assist with Hulkra, which just throws everything off. Additionally, it will concentrate its energy to unleash a range attack. With some of these range attacks creating miasma pools on the ground, home projectiles summoned from the miasma pool. At a certain point, it will enter the miasma phase, and the miasma phase is both a blessing and a curse in a run like this. For starters, the shield reduces damage taken by 25%, and that, in this case, it means the boss is about to waste your time because it flies in the air and you just can't hit it. But where miasma can come in clutch is when you clear it, causing purified damage, which causes damage equal up to 15% of the enemy's match HP, which contributes a lot to your overall score. That being said, still could only get a B rank because the boss would trigger miasma twice in the run, but the second one would always trigger towards like the end when there was like maybe 20 seconds left on the clock and there was no way in hell I was breaking the whole shield in time after that. And after a few retries, the highest I was able to score was around like 15k. So close yet so like kind of far from the A rank. You may have won the battle, Guardian, but the war reigns on. Up next, room 2, Monitor. This was probably the easiest out of the 3 floors. As you've seen earlier, humanoid bosses just get stun locked easier, making us able to just attack him for just decently long periods of time without him having to move. Plus, he does get stunned rather quickly, so that also helps. Now, as for Doppelganger Monito, he unleashes relentless attacks again during the fight, focusing on spurring his attacks to slow him down. Now, if you manage to defensive assist his most powerful skill, you can also force him into a weakened state. After taking a certain amount of damage in battle, he will activate his miasma phase and unleash powerful attacks. Starting off this phase by leaping into the air, trying his best to aura farm, like Sun Jin Woo, and then he slams back down with that dog in him. But even in this state, he's all bark and no bite. We knock him out of miasma, and during this fight, we did get the double miasma phase in between that and the 40% damage buff to basic attacks, we got the A rate, and even managed to score a little above the 16k. Then we hit room 3, the final obstacle of this run, the miasmic Walker Scorps. But before we get to the boss, I want to bring up the mobs that appear at the start. A few Archivores and a Bonrick. Now, I haven't mentioned the mob fights in the previous 4s because they weren't much to talk about. But here it was kind of rough just trying to group all the mobs together. And the problem comes from Bonrick, which is basically a hottie that jumps super high and has ranged attacks. But this thing would hop all around the arena and sometimes causing me to attack it and not the mobs I was trying to group. Other than that, it wasn't much of a threat. Moving on, this is where things get interesting. This oversized cockroach combines pressure with deception, hiding itself and using its mimics to attack, and triggering a defensive assist or dodge counter will knock it Scorps down and leave it staggered for a short period of time. And then after a certain period of time, it will enter its miasma phase. It will summon additional mimics to coordinate its attacks. Also spits venom packed with miasma, blast crawler egg sacs, causing damage through multiple explosions. Now this boss, not much is going on in this fight. It's pretty straightforward. We continuously just attack it. I will say when the miasma phase started, attacks were slow enough to whereas we don't accidentally evasive assist with Pulchra. But after 5 minutes and countless attacks, stuns, and defensive assists, we bring this run to a close. So can you clear Shiyu defense with only stunners? Yes. Was it optimal? Absolutely not. But I'm assuming you didn't watch all this far for an optimal run of Shiyu. And if you skip to the end of the video, get your bitch ass back to the beginning and watch the whole damn thing. Don't you dare skip to the end, because you're not going to know all the nuance. You're going to see a result without any contents. Where's the fun in that? And before you go, announcement time. You've probably been wondering who's this shadowy figure speaking to you. Allow me to properly introduce myself. Hiya, I'm Lone Syndicate and welcome to my channel. I'm a split-mouth shinobi VTuber and artist, and apparently someone who thought this was a reasonable way to introduce themselves. My main games on this channel will be ZZZ, Nikkei, and Wuwa. As to what we will cover, we'll do challenge runs, wacky builds, character showcases, art, and most importantly, gambling. Gotta collect all the waifus after all, and more. Today kicks off a 7-day countdown to my live stream and model debut, so naturally I decided to start with a challenge run. I'll be going live on March 21st at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, aka 7 p.m. CST, 6 p.m. MST, and 5 p.m. PST. We will be doing another ZZZ challenge run, this time related to a certain biker gang. A massive summoning session on Nikkei. I'm talking like 500 plus pulls on standard manner between and friendship, and some hangout and art, and maybe some Wuwa story if we have time. If you want to be there on my very first stream, or you enjoyed the video, leave a like, subscribe, and join me on my shinobi adventures. Throughout this countdown, I will be posting every day, rather it be videos, shorts, or both. Thank you for being here from start to finish, and until next time, ninjas, all out.